John, I swear, man, I swear, I'm gonna punch something. I don't know what. I probably like a pillow or like a chair with a lot of soft, like cushioning on it, maybe, or like. Do they still sell those little clowns where when you hit them they fall down and then they come back up again?
Yes. Man,
you know what? I think that anybody who is on the internet needs one of those to be able to bop the fuck out of one of those things, just you know, when you get mad. You're pointing.
I was gonna say you should totally like find a place that makes them and makes custom ones.
Yeah,
and then like
make one with my face on it. Maybe I could send them to commenters who just hate Jeff so much, and
or
then
make one of each cast member.
Yeah, or I could just
and then whoever you're upset with, you could just.
I can make one with my own face on it, and then I can hit it when I'm just like, "Guy, you stupid idiot!" Hey, all right, welcome to the Rage Select Podcast. Here on Rage Select, I'm Jeff.
I'm John.
I might be a little bit salty this week. It's not necessarily because of any specific thing, but it's just been a real bastard of a week. It's been a real bastard of a week for me. Lost a video, scheduling problems, cars broken, just nightmares and horror, and you know, a life made up of spiders and that stuff at the bottom of the drain. How's your day been, John?
You know, I realize that your week has kind of sucked, and I apologize about that. But I have been to the mountaintop, my friend, and I have seen the promised land.
What?
I have visited the land of Taco Bell, and I have tasted the naked chicken chips.
You mean a triangle chicken nugget?
Yeah, it's just triangle chicken nugget and a thing of cheese. You just dip it in. It's all right. It's a little spicy.
How much do they want for one of those?
For the 6-pack, for the like 6 nuggets,
right.
It's like I want to say it's like $1.90 something, and then like for the 12-pack, it's like $3.90 something or something like that.
Okay, so how many did you get?
I got the 12.
Okay,
because
do they have any sauces outside? This is very important.
It's just cheese sauce. If you want to mix in your own like mild sauce or hot sauce,
they don't give you like the avocado.
No. It's just the cheese sauce.
Baja.
It's just nuggets and cheese.
Well,
which for me, for people who know me, I think I've talked about this on the podcast before.
Yeah,
I have a thing that I do.
Yeah,
where I go to Taco Cabana. I get a shit ton of flour tortillas.
Right.
I get a giant thing of fucking queso.
Yep.
And then I drive over to Burger King.
Right.
And order a bunch of their chicken fries.
Yep.
And then I put the chicken fries in the tortillas.
Sure.
And I dip them in the queso.
Right.
It's fucking magic. It's like literally, I can only eat that once every now and then.
It's bread and cheese and fried chicken, John. Of course it's magic.
You don't know until you've tried it.
I know. It's
No, because most people are like, well, just get chicken anywhere. No, it's not chicken anywhere. It's very specific. It's a very specific taste. You can't just make it anywhere.
You know that I have a philosophical problem with chicken fries, right?
You have a philosophical problem with chicken fries, and you also have a hatred of cheese. I get it, but
it's not a hatred. It's not a hatred of cheese. I just don't believe that I should be eating cheese on everything. Fuck.
But my point here is, so I saw this, and I'm like, well, that's fucking crazy. They ripped me off.
Yeah,
chicken and dipping in cheese, fucking assholes. So I was like, but you know what? I'm gonna give it a try. What I do is better.
Right.
It tastes amazing. This is actually not bad. It's good as a snack. I would not recommend getting it as a full meal, but it's a decent as a snack.
I'm just going to go out the record. I didn't know about this shit until a few days ago. This is weak. This is weak sauce Taco Bell.
Oh, I don't think so. I think it's fun.
When they started with the naked chicken,
chalupa,
they were literally putting it. There was the shell of a taco.
Yeah.
Okay, that's some crazy shit. That's some Frankenfood, some gross garbage. That's some only at Taco Bell. I'm gonna have a heart attack tomorrow. But this shit is just chicken nuggets.
They're
in a triangle.
They're thin chicken nuggets cut in a triangle.
Oh, good. Less chicken in my nugget.
Yeah, but it's essentially the same thing that they use to make the taco shell for the naked chicken chalupa. It tastes good. Is it great? No, it's not. It's not the greatest thing ever. But you know what? I enjoyed it.
Look, I'm gonna Taco Bell. I know you're listening. I've got 4 ideas for you that you can use that naked chicken for that are way better than this. Naked chicken Mexican pizza. How about that? You know, just put all that stuff on top.
Take anything that uses a hard shell tortilla.
Sure.
You know, and
how about
AKA chips. and replace the chip with the tortilla.
Hey, check this out. All I'm doing is taking naked chicken and putting it onto things that are already at Taco Bell. Naked chicken nachos Bel Grande.
Yeah.
So instead of the nachos, you got little pieces of chicken in there.
Yeah. I will say they do also have what is it, like the Crunchwrap Supreme or whatever, except instead of the chips or whatever they put in there, it's actually the naked chicken triangles. So it's like a Crunchwraps.
It's closer. I was expecting more from you, Taco Bell, though.
Yeah, but I'm just saying I really enjoyed it. It was magical. So,
bring back those Crunchwrap sliders, bitch. Like those $1 Crunchwrap sliders. They're the best thing at Taco Bell in a while now. All this naked chicken bullshit isn't cutting it for me. Or double Crunchwrap. What? The Crunchwrap is already garbage. Why would I want a $5 version of the garbage? I don't know. It's folded all fancy.
I will say, like, it's not going to stop me from doing my thing that I do, but it's good. It's nice to have. It's a nice.
It's
the
John.
poor man's. Yeah, my friends lovingly dubbed it the John Special. What I eat.
Okay.
So it's the poor man's version of that. So
bread and chicken with dipped in cheese.
There's no bread though. That's the other thing, is that there's no tortillas to wrap the chicken in.
No, that just seems like, can you not just order like 4 tortillas from Taco Bell and then you could just take the naked chicken and then you could like just tear a tortilla in half and rip it in there?
Yeah,
and
I
try
don't
it that
think
way?
you can, but I don't know. I've never asked.
I mean, it's not like they make them there. I don't know if there'd be any benefit to it.
Yeah. The difference is that the Taco Cabana makes their tortillas and they're fucking magical.
They're fresh homemade tortillas. They're good.
But yeah, so that's been the highlight of my day.
Okay,
like I probably had better stuff going on during the week, but
Yeah, my last week consisted of my back still fucked up. I rolled my ankle. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
So I can't really walk as well as I should be able to.
So I shouldn't have kicked you in the ankles earlier.
It was a weird place. It was a weird decision.
I was trying to trip you and I messed up.
Yeah. But yeah, car's broken, and just a bunch of other stuff that I'm not even going to go into.
Okay.
So, boo on this week. I want this week to be done. I even want the weekend to be done. I just want a whole fresh new start next week.
I mean, I even went and saw Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. That was good.
Piece of shit. Was it good? How was it?
It's good.
Was it better than the first one?
I liked it better than the first one. Okay. I felt it was a little bit more focused, though I do feel that Drax was a little more jokey, but I totally get it with his character. Like, if you actually think about it out of context, in context with the other movie and his character arc from the previous movie, it sort of makes sense, but it's never flat out stated. Yeah, it's more of one of those things you just have to think about. You're like, oh, I guess I get that from a personality standpoint. He's a little bit too jokey, but other than that, I fucking loved it. I thought it was great. I'm not going to spoil anything. I'm not going to say anything about the movie. I thought it was great. I love the first movie. I love the second movie. Though the part of the thing that always hits me a little close to home is the relationship between Peter Quill, Star-Lord, and his mother. Yeah. Like, because I'm a person whose mother died of cancer at a very young age. I was at a very young age. And, I totally, like, that I was crying in the first movie at the very beginning of the first. Like, we hadn't even gotten to the title screen, and I'm already, like, bawling because of how, like, I've been there. I know those feels. Damn. Kind of thing. Like, before he gets kidnapped.
They upped you. Yeah. They totally upped you. Before the movie even started, they just, all right.
Yeah, so, like, I actually have a very deep appreciation for the first movie, and I think this movie is on par.
Good. I would have loved to have seen it, except, car, ankle, videos that didn't record properly. Take your pick. Pick your pick. I would have absolutely loved it.
Yeah. But yeah, also, I got in addition to that, I got the final of my Kickstarter backer rewards for the MST3K relaunch, which was a mug. It's a little tiki mug. It's the moon with the Mystery Science Theater 3000 logo on it. Mm-hmm. It's pretty awesome. I got some other fun stuff coming out to me later in the week, which I'm totally excited about.
Quit rubbing your good life in my face.
I'm living the good life, my friend.
You know what I want? You know what I would like?
I was the wrong person to get for this podcast.
4 uninterrupted hours so that I could beat Prey, because I like it, but I can't play it for more than 2 hours at a time without something catching on fire or my body failing or death.
Or both. Or all of the above at the same time.
Yeah.
I've seen it happen.
I don't. This week can fucking shove off. Anywho, Let's see. We got a fair amount of news.
Let's get through it.
Going on this week. But before we get started, there's a trailer for Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah, there was.
Came out this week. I'm going to reiterate. I think. Did you watch this?
I've seen the trailer.
What'd you think?
It looks like Blade Runner.
I think it looks good. It looks good. I like the fact that Ridley Scott isn't directing it.
Yeah.
That he's producing it, and that dude from The Arrival is directing it. I liked The Arrival.
I never saw The Arrival.
Or it's just called Arrival because The Arrival is a Charlie Sheen movie.
Yeah.
You don't want to mix the two of those up. But I don't know. This looks pretty good. I'm going to go back to what I was saying last time that the trailer for this came out. It doesn't look bad. I'm just getting real sick of leaning on old properties.
Okay.
You know, there's a new Alien movie out this week. There's a new Blade Runner movie coming out. I don't know. It could really go either way too, because God only knows that.
Yeah, it's like I'm looking at it going, man, this looks like it's going to be a beautiful looking movie.
Yeah, but is the plot? And the plot could be good. I don't know. You can always string together enough of this shit to make
anything can make a good trailer. Yeah, anything can make a good trailer. I've seen. Yeah, no, I'm interested to see it. I'll watch it when it comes out. Let
me ask you a question. What's your feeling about original Blade Runner?
I liked it.
Yeah.
I thought it was a really interesting movie. I own it on, sadly, HD DVD.
Yeah,
I've got like the big collector's edition with that's like in the briefcase, and it comes with like 5 different versions of the movie, like the theatrical version, the director's cut, the pre-release rough cut, like the first cut version of it before the theatrical version.
Yeah.
Plus like another director's cut. Like they had done they had Ridley Scott go back and re-edit the film from scratch for the DVD set.
Why? Why?
So it's like there's like 5 or 6 different cuts of this movie on one collection.
I think so. I think. I mean, that's kind of what I'm getting at. Is I was talking to a friend of mine, and I'm like, I think Blade Runner's fine, but I think people get real out of shape about the amount. I was talking to a friend of mine on the phone about this particular trailer.
Okay.
And basically, I had the exact same thing that's happened to me just about every time that the Dark Knight comes up, where I'm like, well, I don't know. I mean, I like Blade Runner all right. Like, I don't watch it all the time. I don't think it's like a cinematic masterpiece. I think it's a very good movie.
Yeah.
But I actually like it better with the voiceover than the director's cut, because I think it feels more like a film noir with the voiceover as opposed to the director's cut where it doesn't have the voiceover. So I actually like it that way. But you get into this situation where, boy, people don't want to hear that you don't think that Ridley Scott's a brilliant artist and that Blade Runner's one of the top 10 greatest movies ever made. And so I guess that's one of the reasons why when I watch this, I'm like, yeah, this looks good, but I just don't know. I'm like, just because you slapped the name Blade Runner on it doesn't mean that I'm instantaneously just like, ooh. I feel like there's very little of that these days. I mean, like in the last year or so, John, I feel like the franchises have kind of started to wear themselves out on me. Like, you're just like, oh, there's a new Marvel TV show. And I'm like, there have been like 12 Marvel TV shows. I don't,
there's been like 2.
Well, the Netflix series is.
So there's been 6.
That's a lot. Over the last, 2 years? That's a lot of shows. 3 years.
Way longer than that for the Netflix stuff.
Okay. In any case, there's so much of that stuff that when you announce, I mean, we talked, I don't know if you and I talked about the Cloak and Dagger thing, where it was like.
Yeah, it was me and you.
I don't think I have any interest in watching that. Like, after kind of figuring out what it is, I don't think I have any. Yeah,
though on that podcast, someone in the comments of the YouTube thing did point out that whatever the fuck the network is called, that it's on, that Freeform or whatever.
Yeah,
it used to be ABC Family, and they just rebranded themselves.
Oh, is that?
So I'm like, oh, okay, well.
I don't know.
Sure.
I mean, I guess I just feel like I like just about every franchise and even like genre of movies is starting to get kind of run into the ground to me at this point. Like, I really just appreciate a movie that's just a brand new concept all on its own. Like,
Okay.
I couldn't even really muster all that much up for the last Harry Potter movie.
I'm looking forward to go seeing the new King Arthur movie.
Yeah.
Guy Ritchie.
Okay.
Directed. King Arthur. Legend of the Sword.
Sure. I saw the first trailer. It
looks like Guy Ritchie movie in like King Arthur times.
Yeah.
I'm totally on board for that.
Yeah. Oh, there was also that new trailer for It that showed a little bit more Pennywise, and it looks.
You know what made me really laugh about that trailer?
What's
is
that?
Everyone's like, man, it looks like this movie's ripping off Stranger Things, and I'm like, no, it's the other way around. Stop.
Yeah. Yeah, the movie, the time period in which the movie is set. Yeah. But yeah, we got just like a real brief look at Pennywise, and it was just kind of like, ugh, gross. Anyway, let's jump forward and move on to some video game news. So I don't know if you remember last year, but the Nielsen report, like the old, like, TV statistic company, has been doing these like game study things, and they just came out with a with their report for 2017. It's pretty dense. I don't know if you had a chance to look at this.
No, I didn't.
There's some interesting answers to questions in here that I feel like I didn't really know. Like, first off, the percentage of people among the general population, 13 plus, that are consider themselves gamers is up another percentage point this year, and that's 64%.
Cool.
Most people game on a single device. Most people that are identifying as gamers game on a single device, and 38% have two devices, and only 16% do more than two devices. So I feel like you and I both been in that category. But I always like to look at this kind of data because it's interesting to me, because it shows just how goddamn far removed I am from general Joe average video game person, right?
Yes.
Or at least the people surveyed for this particular study, because I got fucking
I'm the same way. I've got
12 to 15 different video game
it's like
platforms.
I've got every major console except for the Switch right now. And that, of both this generation and previous generation, with the exception of the Switch. Plus, I've got gaming consoles like the Steam Link, or technically a gaming console, Steam Link, which allows me to link my computer.
Sure.
Plus, I've got fucking Ouya and fucking OnLive device thing that's useless now. Ouya's useless. Like, I've got useless gaming consoles in my house that don't even connect to anything anymore. Because they're pieces of garbage.
Now, this is actually something that you could probably take a contention with about why this entire study. I know this is a thing. There was a study by a while back where people that showed like a roughly 50-50 split between men and women playing video games, and I know that there were a lot of people who like to throw rocks at that study because they basically because the study considers if you play a game on your phone, you're a gamer, and so
I think you are.
I think you are too. I think there's a distinction to be made, but I just don't. I think that I always have a problem getting into the granularity of where we're going to decide, like, well, who's a real gamer? Because technically, I know there are people out there who believe that if you're not playing on a PC, you're just a fucking console plebeian who doesn't know anything about anything. And, there's people out there who believe that anyway, the criteria for what makes a Quotey Fingers real gamer is too nebulous for me to decide.
Yeah. I've decided what it is.
Yeah.
Do you play a video game that you enjoy?
Yeah.
Yes? Hey, you're a gamer.
Yeah. Anyway, out of the people that they polled in this particular study, 62% said that they do personally. It said, which of the following, if any, do you personally play games on? And 62% said gaming or on a mobile or tablet, and then only 38% said not gaming on a mobile or tablet. So and that's down like from 2013 when they basically started this study. It was 54% not on a tablet, 46% on a tablet. So you can see that his number has grown. Yeah. Out of the gaming platform preferences, which of the following do you most prefer to play games on? 26% mobile device, 47% console, 27% computer. So PC Master Race, I'm not trying to use this number to hammer on you, but when you demand that publishers treat your platform like it's the number one king of everything that sells all the most copies, let's just remember this particular number.
They're almost the exact same number of you as there are as mobile players. Yeah. Because it was only like 26% for mobile and 27% for PC.
Yes. Now this is just awareness of different current generation consoles, which is kind of interesting. Just in generally speaking, what the answers here are PS4, Xbox One, Switch, PS4 Pro, Scorpio, and none of the above. And on all of these graphs, PS4 is the first one, and Xbox One is the second one.
Yeah.
So it appears that if this data is anything to on gamers age 13 plus, identified gamers age 13 plus, Nintendo Switch is the third, but we're talking 77%, 72%, 29% for Nintendo Switch. So Nintendo, this is also a good bar graph example of the ground that Nintendo has to make up with kind of your rank and file general gaming populace, is that they have their fan base, obviously, but that it's not as much out in the mainstream, at least according to this particular survey. All this is according to this particular survey. The other thing that I found interesting was you had VR, intent to purchase VR is kind of interesting because it shows that there's not really a whole lot of people who have VR at the moment.
It's a very limited number of people at the moment.
But that there's a lot of people who are
interested
planning on buying it. Yeah. So in between 2016 and 2017, the just number of people who have awareness of VR as a platform jumped by about 30%. And the intent to purchase seems like it's kind of split evenly between, say, with gamers, PlayStation VR and the Gear VR, with Oculus, Cardboard, and then Vive pulling up after that. So I don't know. I feel like this is a kind of an interesting report, as it just tells us things. It's always good. I like to look at real raw numbers as opposed to just
like to know things.
Well, as opposed to just doing what everybody does. Yeah. What everybody does, which is taking my own personal experience and then just going like, well, I know what the Nintendo Switch is. What the fuck is wrong with people? Blah, 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 blah. And it's like, yeah, you don't represent most other people. But I think it's interesting, and I recommend that everybody go give it a look because, I don't know, it's interesting data.
Yeah.
So first up, this is not the biggest story, and in the previous podcast, this story would be way down deep amongst the last few things that came out. But this is a real weird and slow but packed news week. Square is selling IO.
Yes.
The developers of Hitman.
Yes.
My second favorite game of 2016.
Correct.
It's weird. I really hope that they get picked up by somebody good. They basically said that they are, this is a real wordy piece of shit. To maximize player satisfaction as well as marketed potential going forward, we are focusing on our resources and energies on key franchises and studios. As a result, the company has regrettably decided to withdraw from the business of IO Interactive. It's a wholly owned subsidiary, yada, 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 yada. That sucks. I thought Hitman was fucking delicious.
Yeah, and I gotta ask, what does that mean for Hitman? Does Square keep it? Does IO keep it?
I think that IO keeps it. I think that Square was always acting as a publisher for that.
Okay.
Kind of like Eidos would keep Deus Ex if they moved somewhere
because
else.
Like every article I've read about it, like that seemed to be something that was up in the air.
Yeah. Maybe. I mean, I'm making wild assumptions, but I don't think. I mean, IO Interactive hasn't been doing much outside of Hitman that I remember forever. But
I think they did a mobile game.
Was it Hitman?
No. Well, I mean, there was Hitman Go, but I think they did they might have done like a mobile game or something like that. I can't remember what it was.
Hitman 2, Freedom Fighters. Oh, Freedom Fighters. Contracts, Blood Money, Keenan Lynch, Mini Ninjas, Keenan Lynch 2, Hitman Absolution, and Hitman. So they've mostly been Hitman in it. So I think that would be weird. The other thing that I feel kind of interesting is, or I feel is kind of crazy, is how much do we have a sales figure for Hitman?
No clue.
Let me see if I can look that up real fast. Yeah, they were supposed to have. I mean, they were obviously set up for multiple seasons.
And what does that mean for the next season of Hitman as well?
Yeah. Let's see. So I wonder how updated this is because they actually put out the physical copy earlier this year. Okay, that's nothing. Let's see if I can find a.
Yeah, you may not because most companies don't release their digital sales.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. There's this is Steam Spy, which does some tracking. You know what? I can't really look this up as quickly as I want to. I don't know. All I know is that it'd be like, I hope that IO gets picked up by somebody, because I really, really, just to reiterate, if you haven't played Hitman, You should go play it. It was really, John, you should go play it. Everybody should play that game.
I know. We've talked about it.
So good.
I've done Let's Plays with you.
I know. It was so good, though. Like, it was the best.
Playing Jeff was really, really, really awkward after a while.
Yeah. I mean, it was, in my humble opinion, it was the best episodic game I've ever played, because they actually, even though it wasn't really originally planned like that, but then it turned into a thing. It was weird because when it was first announced, I was here on this podcast like, fuck you guys, just put it all out, put the whole game out, and let me just play it. Don't put out half a game and then put out more episodes later. But you know what? When they finally turned over to a fully episodic structure, they did good, because not only did they release each episode like every month the way that they said they were going to, but they also released things like the remixes and like the Icon and the Marrakesh
the
night,
specific contracts and
and then the elusive contracts, and they had it was an interesting concept that I never really followed up on. But you had the Sarajevo 6 on the PS4, the ability to make your own contracts and remix stuff. But even just the single player content was enough. You didn't even need any of that stuff. Just the single player game of Hitman was enough to justify a $60 game purchase for certain. So I really hope they get picked up. I was going to say some wild speculation. What was a publisher you'd like to see pick them up, who you think wouldn't drop them, who you think would nurture the franchise?
Oh, I have no idea.
I don't know.
The problem is I don't think a lot of companies are actually acquiring other companies at the moment. So I don't think it'd be a gaming company. I think at most it would probably be like a company that is on the fringe of gaming.
Yeah.
Like Google or,
I'd like to see ZeniMax pick them up, actually, after talking about them last week, because ZeniMax has been publishing a lot of really good stuff recently between Dishonored and, Doom and the other stuff that they've been putting out. I don't know. Yeah, that's just a real shame, though. And you guys should all go buy Hitman. Or, I don't know, maybe don't. Maybe don't because it's giving Square money now they've sold the studio off. But I think it's great. Next up, we have, speaking of games that I think are great, this is a game that I think is great that we haven't seen in a long time. There's some rumors. These are hard rumors. John's already shaking his head about rumors.
I take rumors with a grain of salt.
I think everybody should take rumors with a grain of salt.
Especially rumors about what we're about to talk about.
Metroid is the answer to that statement. So this is, let's see, the Spawn cast. I'm not even sure who that is. I'm not sure how legit any of this is. Says that they think that Retro Studios is working on something that's probably going to show up as either a Metroid Prime reboot or Metroid Prime 4, and that Climax Studios, who did Silent Hill Memories and Assassin's Creed Chronicles, is working on another Metroid property on top of that. Now, it's funny because I can actually see that seems pretty legit, because Assassin's Creed Chronicles were like Metroidvania style, or they were at least side-scrolling kind of puzzly adventure games. Oh, man, I would straight up stab myself to get a new good side-scrolling Metroidvania. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think any credence here? Do you think? I mean, it's been since the Wii. I mean, Metroid Prime 1 and 2, those were GameCube.
And Other M.
Oh yeah, so on the Wii you had Other M,
the one that everyone wants to forget existed.
Yep, I never played it.
And then there's the recent 3DS game.
Oh, Federation Force.
Yep.
Don't pretend like that's not a Metroid game. Some
what
bullshit.
Nintendo thinks it is.
That's some bullshit. Nintendo doesn't know shit. They don't know anything about their own company. I don't know. I mean, with Zelda out, like they can't do. I mean, there's no. I'm thinking old Nintendo here, but they can't put out there's no Castlevania because Konami is full of garbage and plutonium. I don't know. Metroid might make it. I mean, maybe they've just churned out. They got a Pikmin coming out for the 3DS. They had their Smash Brothers Last Generation on the Wii U. They just put out a Zelda, and it did very well for them. Yeah, maybe now's the time for them to bring back another Metroid game. I, for one, would like that because I feel like this franchise has gotten dicked for the last 7 or 8 years. So
I'm going to say, don't hold your breath.
Yeah,
but be optimistic.
I'm going to be optimistic, but I'm not going to hold my breath. So, yeah. I don't know. Do you think another first person? Do you think another first-person Prime style game would be good.
I mean, it could be good. I mean, it's not saying it couldn't. It definitely could. I don't.
Yeah.
I wish I had more information. It sucks because Retro Studios is an Austin-based company.
We should go there and be like.
I've actually met and had conversations with the CEO of them.
Oh, dude, do you know his number?
No, I don't.
On Facebook?
I've got his business card somewhere.
Let's call him.
Because back when I was doing Geek Bombast at Staple, apparently his wife does comics, so he goes to these things, and when I was talking to him, he's like, "So what's your podcast about?" And he's like, "Oh, that's cool." And I was like, "Oh shit, you work for it? Would you like to ever come on as an interview?" And he's like, "Yeah, I can't do interviews. Yeah, Nintendo doesn't allow that." And I was like, "Oh, okay, that's cool."
So here's the thing.
But we talked. It seemed like a nice dude.
You're gonna become friends with him. We're gonna find out where he lives.
I'm not gonna find out where he lives. I'm not gonna stalk this guy.
We're gonna get a van. Oh no, we're past stalking. We're gonna fucking throw him in the back of a van and then get an interview. You don't want to give an interview? Oh, he'll give an interview once Plan Jeff goes.
Get the Rap E-Mobile.
Yes. Throw him in the back of the Rap E-Mobile. We're going to wrap that interview right out of him. We're going to do freestyle beats all up in his face, and then eventually he's going to be like, stop, this white rapping, I can't take it anymore.
Put your clothes on.
No, you got it. That's the only way to rap. You don't want to be too hot. Anyway, yeah, so you guys can look forward to that, our
maybe
special back of the van interview. Let's talk a little BioWare.
All right.
BioWare is taking a little bit of a break from Mass Effect, which is probably for the best.
Well, here's the thing.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised by that because I kind of figured, because BioWare never goes, like, even with the original trilogy, they never really went, Mass Effect 2 is immediately being worked on. They kind of always took a little bit of a break.
Yeah.
So them saying that they're taking a break is not a huge... But I also feel like them saying they're taking a break is hey, we're not taking our normal break like we would normally do.
Yeah, well, according to this story that I'm reading off of Game Informer, I mean, like, I don't think this is just a break because they said they're retasking BioWare Montreal to basically be a support studio for other BioWare efforts.
Yeah.
Like, it sounds like they put together BioWare Montreal to make this Mass Effect. They put it out, and I don't think the sales or the reception have been what they wanted, and they're probably just shoving this shit on the back burner.
Yeah. Hopefully, if they do bring it back, they, hopefully they don't fuck over the people who did enjoy Mass Effect Andromeda with the, because didn't it have like a kind of a cliffhanger ending like the Mass Effect games?
Dude, I don't know. I'm like 5 episodes in. I just enjoyed driving the car and screaming. That's what I like doing. So, I think that there's, I don't know. I do know that. I mean, I don't know. I don't think BioWare's been the same company for a while now.
No, they haven't. We've talked about that.
Yeah. So I think that maybe shutting this down and giving it a little bit of time would probably be for the best. And in that particular vein, they also said, this is from an earnings call, that the new IP that they were working on has been pushed back. New IP that was coming out in 2018. Now planning for 2019 for that to come out. And this was, we got like a little tiny bit of information.
Like
on
an
this,
action
right?
game?
Yeah, something. Features a, quote, disruptive new social design. I don't know. Yeah.
If it's not Jade Empire, I'm gonna be upset.
Do you want them to make Jade Empire 2?
I don't know.
I don't know that I even want BioWare making sequels to these games anymore because I'm still not entirely sure whether I'm even enjoying Mass Effect Andromeda.
I mean, I would kind of like. I think Jade Empire. I mean, if not Jade Empire 2, a spiritual sequel to that, meaning that something that takes place in that same type of genre, is in that same type of game style, but doesn't have to be attached to Jade Empire in any way, shape, or form. But
I just don't think they should. I mean, I think that some people have said this in the comments. Some people have probably said this in other places. So I'm just kind of parroting, or not parroting, but I feel the same way. I don't think that these games should be open world. I really don't. Like, I don't think that Dragon Age should have been open world. I don't think that Mass Effect should be open world.
I'm not saying they should They should do Jade Empire open world game. I think they should do in the same vein that Jade Empire was.
Was it not open world? I mean, well, I think that the Mass Effect 2 model for me worked the best because it allowed you to tell these really tight stories.
No, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay. Is that what that was, though? Like a hub and then you
it was a KOTOR.
area?
It was a KOTOR with Kung Fu.
Okay, so you would wander... You kind of wander through the world. I realize that this is just a clarification for me and not for anybody else, but kind of like Dark Souls, right? So it's not like a giant open world. It's got like areas that you're going to that have like objectives, and then you go to the next area. It's not just like this big sprawling map that is full of stupid objectives. Okay, fair enough. Yeah. Well, I tell you what, I'm not super excited. I don't know. I'm still making up my mind about Mass Effect, but I'll tell you what I have made up my mind about. That's Injustice 2.
I've been thinking about that too.
It's not even out yet, but this looks like NetherRealm's doing it good. I like what I'm seeing.
I only have one real complaint with everything so far, but other than that, everything looks great. I'm excited for the game. I know you hate this, but I've already got my copy pre-ordered digitally on my PS4.
Boo, pre-order.
Because I had the money at the time and won't have the money on Tuesday.
Boo,
so I
pre-order.
Plus I wanted Darkseid, so bite me.
I want Darkseid too.
That's why I pre-ordered it digitally. And what you should do, if you want Darkseid, wait until the day before and then buy it. And then it's pre-ordered digitally.
No, I'm just going to go buy it at the store.
Okay.
I mean, because it's one of those things where...
Well, I'll be having fun playing as Darkseid.
Well, I'm sure you will. And in a year when they put out the $10 season pass XL pack, I'll just buy that.
Yeah, no, you got a good point.
But I want it on disc because that's the sort of game that... One of the reasons that I love to get games like that on disc is so that when I'm done with it, I can be like, hey, does anybody want to borrow that new Injustice game from me? Because it'll be a week, and then I'll be done with it.
I like Overwatch, Injustice, and even Street Fighter V, I've bought all digitally with the idea of I don't want to take time to swap out the discs.
Sure.
And I want the load time to be the best it can be.
Sure.
Just have it be on the fucking console.
Yeah. But anyway, there's a big old trailer that came out.
Yeah, the Everything You Need to Know trailer.
Yep. And it had some stuff that we already knew. It talked a lot about it talked a little bit about the story. So I don't know that I knew this, but this is not the same world of oppressive Super Hitler.
No, this is.
Oh, it is.
The difference is that so if you remember in the previous game, it started off in regular DC Comics, and then they went into an alternate world where Superman had gone bad.
Right.
And then at the end of the game, they went back to regular DC Comics.
Right.
Well, this is continuing that world where Superman gone bad. And Superman is imprisoned in a Red Sun prison cell. Batman his identity as Bruce Wayne is public. Certain characters are dead, certain characters are not.
Okay. Because it's weird because this trailer starts off by being like, this game picks up right after the Justice League has been dissolved. And I was like, what?
It means it picks up right after the events of Injustice 2 or Injustice 1.
Oh, okay.
Like Harley Quinn is actually an agent of Batman, and Joker's dead in this world. And
okay. Well, but anyway, I like what I'm seeing here. It looks like they've got a narrative put together. I kind of like the idea of the loot /
costume
equipment
thing?
system. Yeah,
different costume pieces may unlock different move sets for the character.
I do hope that they give you some option at some point to be like, hey, don't show the equipment. I just want to see what the base, because I like the way that a lot of these people.
Oh no! So there's the story mode. Of what it looks and then also there is in a multiplayer mode where your equipment does affect the way your character, because again the equipment also unlocks moves.
Sure.
So you could be playing with a character, like two people could be playing the same character and not have the same move set.
Sure.
But there is also a multiplayer mode and also a tournament mode which does not use the gear. The gear is turned off.
Yeah, I guess some of this gear looks a little stupid, and I guess what I want is the ability, if I want to.
Yeah, so they've stated there is a mode that doesn't use the gear at all.
Well, I guess okay. If you could do that, I wonder if you could do that in single player. I guess is what I'm wondering. Where you could just like keep the effects, but just turn visually the gear off so that I can play the game with a Flash. It looks like the Flash and not a Power Ranger.
That I don't know.
But there's also an online thing, which is basically the
Living Towers.
Yeah, Living Towers from Mortal Kombat, where it looks like there's a bunch of different kind of status effects.
Multiverse.
Yeah, and that you get different types of gear from that. Yeah, it looks good. Like, it looks real good.
Yeah.
and you know what? I look at this and I go, I'm not. I like a fighting game. Like I just played Guilty Gear last week, right? I like playing fighting games, all right. But you know what? I think that NetherRealm does a complete package better, so much better than
I agree.
Capcom does.
Oh, no, you're totally 100% right on that. People are still, to this day, pissed off at Street Fighter V.
Yeah.
Like, they're doing another season of characters, and people are upset at Street Fighter V.
Yeah.
Like, they're like, apparently the servers are broken again recently on Street Fighter V.
What? Yeah, okay.
But it's like NetherRealms, on the other hand, you've got a competent story mode.
Yeah.
You've got fucking other modes out the ass of fighting games.
Mm-hmm.
And they just add so much to it.
Yep.
And yeah.
The only thing I hope is that I thought that the story in Mortal Kombat X was okay.
Yeah.
I thought Mortal Kombat 9 has by far had the best story, but they had an advantage on that one because they were just mining stuff. I hope that this one has a fairly long story, as I remember that both Injustice and Mortal Kombat X kind of went by a little bit faster than, say, Mortal Kombat 9 did.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean,
I also hope they go through every single character. Did they do that in Mortal Kombat X?
No, I think there were a few characters they didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, if I have one issue with the lead up to Injustice 2, it was the fact that, last week after we recorded, like I think it was like on Friday or whatever, they released a trailer for the DLC characters.
Hey, the next thing on my list, which
the game's not even out yet.
Yeah,
they're telling us the DLC characters. Yeah. Now, mind you, if you bought the Deluxe Edition that came with 3 of those DLC characters, you now know what those 3 DLC characters are.
Right. That's Starfire, Red Hood, and Sub-Zero.
Sub-Zero.
Right, because they just can't stand it.
Yeah, and they also, there's like at the very end of it, there's like a blip where it shows the silhouettes, because the ultimate, like the big collector's edition, like the $100 one or whatever, comes with like 9 characters.
Yeah.
So we know there's going to be 9 characters. So at the very end of it, it has kind of like this moment where you see the silhouette of the other 6 characters.
Okay, I can tell you what some of these are. That's Black Manta, right? And then that's Raiden over there, obviously. I can't really tell who anybody else is.
I have a theory.
Okay.
That each pack has a Mortal Kombat character in it.
Okay.
Since we know that Sub-Zero's in the one that's already been announced, we know that Raiden's in the other one.
Right.
I'm betting the other one is Johnny Cage.
This is Johnny Cage?
No. The other.
This is Johnny Cage way over on the left.
Yeah.
Okay.
Johnny Cage. I think one pack is going to end up being Johnny Cage, Black Manta, and you're going to look at me, and it took me a long time to realize this. I think that's Rorschach from Watchmen.
Without his hat on?
No, that's with the hat. Instead of a fedora, they went with a trilby.
Ew. Yeah. Okay. Weird. That would be weird.
Yeah.
Fighting game.
And then the other side, I'm thinking, is Azrael.
That's right. Okay,
Raiden,
that makes sense with that. Yeah.
Raiden, and then the other one is either going to be one of 3 characters. It's either going to be Vixen, Katana, or possibly Mira.
Okay.
It's one of those 3.
Okay.
In my opinion, those are my guesses. I could be wrong on all of those.
Sure. We're looking at silhouettes.
Also, there was a whole thing where Ed Boon at one point put out a bunch of polls, online fan polls, saying we want characters that are not DC or Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
Like, let you vote on these characters, on who you would like to see in the game. And if I remember correctly, the 2 most voted characters were Hellboy and Spawn, and Ed Boon said that he was going to try to get both of those in the game. And so some people are saying that that's not actually Azrael, that's actually Hellboy.
Interesting.
But none of that's been confirmed, and I'm actually...
How would they get... Those aren't even DC characters.
That's the thing, is that...
Yeah.
Because, again, he said, I want characters that are not DC and not Mortal Kombat, that you would love to appear in this game as a guest character.
Oh, kind of like the way that they shoved like Leatherface and Alien and stuff like that in the last one. Dude, that would be weird. Hellboy would make a great NetherRealms character with this big hand.
So it's possible that could be Hellboy, but I'm pretty sure it's Azrael.
Okay.
I'm pretty confident.
Wasn't Spawn in a Soul Calibur?
Yes, he
game?
was.
Was it the Xbox version?
Yes, it was the Xbox version of Soul Calibur 3.
Two?
No.
I thought it was 2.
Yeah, it was 2.
Because the
I had to think about that.
GameCube had
Yeah.
Link, and the PS2 had
Hitachi.
Heihachi.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, where the fuck is that? There's another trailer in my feed somewhere for the new Tekken. Where the
It comes
fuck
out in a
is
couple
that?
months.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's coming out soon.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah, I remember. I know it's coming out soon because they started talking about more what the VR component of it is, and the entire PSVR community got all up in arms that it's not like some type of first-person fighting VR. That it's literally just you can look at full figures and look around them and turn them and show like you're just looking at statues essentially in the game, kind of like on Forza where you have like the mode where you can look at cars.
Yeah,
well, it's that but in VR.
I sometimes wish that developers would understand that if like, well, I guess it's a lot more work for them, but like if I could just be like a God's eye view.
Yeah, everyone's like, I'm not asking. Like there's a bunch of people like, I'm not even asking for a fucking like first person. I'm saying just put me at the side as if I was looking at a TV screen, but have me in the environment.
Yeah. The problem with that is that they then have to render a full environment.
Yeah. No, you're right.
But especially with Tekken, where it's not exactly like run around in full. I mean, you can run in Tekken, Tekken fans, please. But having to render all that around you just in case you turn your head to the left or right. Well, shit. So, yeah, I tell you what else is coming out this month. I'm sorry, that was a very clumsy transition. In other news, our whole, there's probably going to be a Vanquish PC port. Well, guess what? There's a Vanquish PC port.
Oh, shit.
Which I am so happy about because this game is so underrated and so overlooked and so, like, just fucking more people needed to play this wonderful
just think of how good it's going to look on a really good PC, and then think of all the mods that people are going to probably do for it.
60 frames per second, fucking high octane.
It's gonna be hot.
Yep, it's coming out later this month, and if you watched Matt and I play Vanquish, because we did a sequential Saturday on Vanquish, it's worth playing. Like, it's a solid ass platinum game. Like, it's so fun, and it's got fucking robot combat Santa and this like gravelly voiced fucking main dude, and you just jumping around in slow motion, and there's Russians, and you're on a Russian space station, and you got to shoot a bunch of Russians.
Unlocked adrenaline, unlocked frame rate.
It's such a good game. Yeah. It's so fun. And it takes you like 5 hours to beat if you're just paying attention and not, talking like a jerk. But yeah, there's a launch trailer. And if you're not already excited, go watch this launch trailer because I'm watching it for the first time right now. And it's making me want to play
like this could have been a game that was released today.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, that fucking looks awesome.
Yeah.
Like, it looks really good.
Yeah.
Comes out on May 25th.
Yep. I mean, you know what? I'm all in favor if that's what, like, between Bayonetta and Vanquish, I'm like, that's great. You know what, Sega? If you just want to go back through and release every game that was a console exclusive on the PC with a higher resolution and unlocked frame rate, I'm cool with that. Like, you don't have to make any more fucking Knuckles Racing Championship games or whatever. Just go back and what else did they publish? What other platinum? Was there another platinum Sega game? Well, there's one more because those two both were platinum, right?
Yeah, those were both platinum. Bayonetta.
Let's just think here real fast. What else? They couldn't put that.
They wouldn't be able to do Bayonetta 2, unfortunately, because that is owned by Nintendo.
Yeah, and the same with Wonderful 101.
Yeah.
Anarchy Reigns. Oh,
Anarchy Reigns is one of them.
Yeah, but Anarchy Reigns kind of sucks.
Yeah, no, it did.
We played that. But Mad World, but that's Nintendo. If Nintendo's got their mitts in it, they'll never let them put it out. Yeah, probably not.
I don't know if Nintendo actually owns the rights to Mad World or Anarchy Reigns.
I get the feeling that Nintendo don't publish shit unless they get to keep their mitts on
good point.
it. But I don't know. Mad World would be one that I would really like to see because I never played Mad World because I didn't have a Wii when it came out.
Yeah.
On the other hand, oh man, Infinite Space. That game was great. There's no way that'll ever come to any other platform. It's like a RPG, but you're flying around in a starship. It was great. Anyway, so Vanquish. Back to Vanquish. Play Vanquish. Vanquish is a great game. If you need to see a little bit about it, you can go watch Matt and I play it. But even if I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that to try to promote Rage Select the channel. I'm saying that because you should go play Vanquish, whoever you are. Do it. And then play Hitman. And then play Dark Souls. And then play Dark Souls 2. And then play Bloodborne.
And then Dark Souls 3.
No, don't play Dark Souls 3. Play Darksiders 3. What? No, that game isn't even out yet.
Yeah.
But did you watch the footage of actual Darksiders 3 in action?
Yes.
That came up on IGN.
Yes, I did.
What did you think of it?
I mean, it looked like a Darksiders game.
I thought that it looked very boring.
It looked very similar to the game that we just finished playing a full sequential of in our secret sequential on Patreon.
Okay, so here's what I have to say. It looks good. The character models, the environment, and everything looks good. The actual what's happening in the gameplay is boring as sin because it is the same 4 attacks over and over again. There are no sub-weapons or powers or anything. It's just dodging and attacking and dodging and attacking and dodging and attacking. Now, again, I know what you're about to say. This is pre-alpha. I just am hoping that it's just I find it a little bit odd that they have this 12-minute video with no commentary that just kind of is running around in the ruined Earth plane whipping stuff over and over and over again with the chainsaw.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of platforming. There's a boss at the end, which seems pretty cool. I like their boss design. It kind of reminds me of it's kind of a little bit of a Souls boss.
Yeah. Of course it does.
I just hope that, I just hope that I hope there's got to be, they must understand that even just this level of attacking is kind of boring to watch, right? Because it's just kind of the same, the whip sounds aren't stupendously interesting, and it's just kind of the same whoosh, whoosh, whoosh.
Well, I'm sure that this is also an early in the character, because all of the Dark Souls games, if you actually just look at War's sword battle, it's all right. But
Darksiders.
Darksiders. I'm sorry. If you look at War's sword battle, or even Death's Scythe or whatever,
I disagree with that. I mean,
without all the extra abilities, once you actually get the other collectible weapons, it becomes really cool to do combos with each of those weapons. In addition to, and I'm pretty sure they're going to do the same thing here.
Yeah, I guess I wish they would have just shown it, because otherwise, I guess the thing is that I was sitting there watching this video for 12 minutes and waiting for something besides run into an enemy, whip, 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 whip.
And then, like I said, it could be early it could be early point in the game where that is the only weapon you have, because even in Darksiders 1 and 2, there were levels at the very beginning of the game where you only had the one weapon before you started getting the sub weapons.
Yeah, but even there, you could do jump attacks, you could grab people. There was the environmental stuff that you could pick up and throw at people. There was just more than just jamming, jamming. But
it also could just be the person who's playing this game is not playing it properly.
I want to make sure that I'm saying here, it's not like I'm not excited for this anymore. I wish that when they were showing this, that they'd shown less or more diverse, kind of stuff, because most gameplay walkthrough stuff isn't just what this is, which is kind of walking up and hitting the same types of enemy over and over again. But that's just me. I tell you who else needs to get some diversity of things, or who doesn't need any diversity in their trailers. Agents of Mayhem.
Oh shit! Ahoy, motherfuckers!
Yeah. Actually, I'll tell you. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how to word that, because this is the franchise trailer that talks about the 3 Agents of Mayhem that we have already seen.
I don't think I've actually seen this trailer.
Oh, have you not?
No.
Okay.
Weird.
It basically talks about Hollywood and the Ahab, and then I forget what the Sky Pirate's name is, Gypsy or something like that.
Yeah.
And it basically kind of it's the Agents of Mayhem commander kind of talking about why each one of these, who they are and what they're good for, and kind of showing off a little bit of their powers. I wish that it had been more than just the characters from the reveal trailer, because I've seen some of the other characters in the game.
Well, yeah, they've actually already revealed. Like, there's the roller derby one that I always forget the name of. Pierce is a character
from Saints Row.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Pierce is one of the characters. Yeah.
In any case, it's a good trailer, and I'm really, really excited for Agents of Mayhem.
Yeah, no, I'm excited too. I'm really looking forward to. I'm looking forward to the game.
What? Oh, they were live
on Facebook.
They were just live 4 hours ago. Is that a desktop? Is that a desktop background that just says "ahoy, motherfucker"?
Just says, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, but it looks great. I'm excited for the game.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, they've been doing a lot of streaming stuff on both YouTube, Facebook, and
Fortune.
Twitch.
That's the name of the Sky Pirate person. Yeah, no, it looks good. I'll tell you what else is getting a sequel outside of you know what, my transition saves suck. Next up,
they have
Risk of Rain 2. It was revealed, and it's going to be a 3D game this time around.
Yeah, I haven't looked at anything for it, but I did see that. I saw the subject line of it. Risk of Rain sequel coming, and it's 3D.
Yep. So for those of you who don't remember, Risk of Rain 2D was kind of a roguelike kind of action platformer where the longer that you fought, the more kind of power-ups you got, and it kind of came in waves. It was fun. It was a fun game. Hard as shit.
Yeah, but it also got like harder the longer you were alive.
Yep.
And...
I never got to a point, like there were a bunch of unlocked characters. I think I unlocked maybe like one or two. But yeah, the developer is making another one, and this one's going to be fully 3D. That's cool. I mean, you know, yeah. First Risk of Rain was good. I will take a second when you get a chance. Let's see. We're going to start bopping along. We're almost in an hour here. Deadly Premonition board game got kickstarted.
Yeah. Yeah, it's they've got some stretch goals on there that I think are pretty interesting. I think like one of the stretch goals is that Swery will actually create a new character.
Is it a really slow and dull, and do you take forever to drive places? And is it like kind of clumsy and badly put together?
You really hate that game.
I don't understand. It's kind of like Nier, where you get all these people who are just like, you got to play this game. You got to play it. And you play it. And you're just like, why? And they're like, no, keep playing it. Once you get to 45 hours, it starts to get good. And you're just like, what? Fuck you. I have a life.
Okay. I got the game when it first came out, and it was $20 when it first came out. Yep. So I got it, and it was just like fucking crazy. It was just one of those games that was fucking crazy. It was weird. It hit all the right notes. It was cheap. It was a lot of playtime. So I have fond memories of it because of that.
Okay.
Now, obviously, you didn't play it when it first came out. You didn't play it till much later because people were like, "You guys need to play Deadly Premonition. You guys need to play Deadly Premonition. Hey, it's coming out on PC. You need to play Deadly Premonition." And then you're like, "I don't see you. You got overhyped." I feel like you got the overhype, and then it was so in the opposite direction that you just fucking hate the game.
Yep.
Is it a perfect game? No.
Yeah.
It is. I feel like it is, to use a term, perfectly bad in that it is so bad, it somehow becomes good.
Maybe if I hadn't had to drive for 40 minutes to get from like one side of the map to the other, and I wasn't confused about what I was doing the entire time. But
yeah. But they're making a card game. That is a board game, card game, which is essentially each character takes the role of an agent, and you're trying to figure out who the killer is and all that.
Okay,
so it looks interesting. Like I said, they hit their goal like fucking crazy fast.
Sure, of course they did. Of course.
So
they're at 98. They're about 99,000 of $50,000 goal.
Yeah.
Because of course they did, because the people are crazy about Deadly Premonition. Funded in 8 hours. Now on to stretch goals. So yeah, if you want a copy of that, you still got some time to get in.
Yeah,
go check
there's
it
like
out.
28 days still left on it.
Yep. Let's see. We got a couple of quick Blizzard stories.
Okay.
So it turns out that there's a law in China where if you are going to be spending money on a gambling type thing, the person has to disclose the odds of you winning the gamble.
Yes.
And that means that Overwatch had to basically talk a little bit about the drop rates from the loot boxes that you get from Overwatch
For China.
for China. Probably for everywhere,
Yeah.
but
The Blizzard kind of came out and went, those are the drop rates for China. They do not reflect the drop rates everywhere else.
okay. Well, at least in China,
Everyone assumes that they're the same because they haven't flat out state that they're not.
Yeah.
They just stated that they may not.
Yeah. Well, in China, the average drop rate for purple items is 1 item per 5.5 loot boxes. Similarly, the drop rate for orange is 1 drop per 13.5 loot boxes. So,
Yeah, because I also think they change those regularly.
okay. Well, fair enough. I just think that's kind of interesting. I think it's interesting. I mean, they can't, if they change it, don't they have to disclose it again to China?
I think they change it in other regions regularly, depending on how many people are playing, what the veracity, like if people slowly stop playing, they start maybe kind of changing it so that people get more items quickly, so that people want to come back, and then maybe they'll slowly dial it back to where it originally was.
Okay.
Kind of thing.
Fair enough.
Like but I think in China it's a fixed thing because of the fact they have to reveal it.
Okay.
I could be entirely wrong on all that, so feel free comments to be like, John, you're a fucking moron.
We're towards the end. We're just out on limbs. Also, this news is all over the place, and I haven't organized it especially well this week because I thought that these were both Blizzard stories, but this is a Blizzard story, and this is a Valve story. So apparently later this month, Dota 2 is getting a co-op campaign.
Hey,
Yep.
I guess.
Where you and some friends basically... Act 1 is coming later this month and sets up conflict between the evils of the Dark Reef and the heroic conclave of the Brine. Players earn campaign XP, which can be used to spin a prize wheel, which could net you an exclusive Desert Sands Baby Roshan. Players who reach battle level 165 will unlock an XP booster. So this is called Silt Breaker. It's a 3-part adventure for 4 players that they can play without fighting other people.
Okay, that's cool.
And I actually realized that when I heard about this, I realized that you know how there are some games where it's like almost the entire single-player game is just kind of getting you eased into mechanics so that you can then roll over to multiplayer when you're done?
Yeah.
I kind of wish that somebody would just make a single-player, not a multiplayer, but like a single-player Dota 2 campaign that was narrative but was still teaching you concepts, not how to play on the on the Dota board, right? Not how to play with the 3 lanes, but just the concepts of the game, and then drilling you, but with a narrative campaign, so that when you came out the other side, you're like, oh, I understand how a variety of different things work, right? Like maybe a character-based campaign where you play as first, one character and then another character, then another character. Narrative, maybe 45 minutes per character or 30 minutes per character, and then make one for every one of them in there. That way you could go out and I know that would be a long undertaking. But at that point, then you could have people go out and get some time outside of just because I kind of want to play MOBAs, but I don't want to learn how to play MOBAs. I want to already know how to play them right now. So I don't know. Maybe when this comes out later this month, we'll be able to take a look at it because I think it's a wonderful idea. Whether or not it actually works, whole other thing. All right, so now we have a couple of fun stories left to go.
I like fun stories.
Yep. So first, okay, this is kind of crazy. There is a game called Tibia. Okay,
Sounds familiar.
it is one of these like weird isometric like MMOs like with a 2D art aesthetic to it. Kind of like think of like Maple Story or something like that.
Yeah.
Something like this, right? Kind of looks like Ultima Online a little bit.
Okay.
So in this game, this game launched 12 years ago.
Okay.
There's a gate in this game, and it says only players who reach level 999 can come through this gate. Now, this game is very difficult, and it's like old school MMOs. If you die, you lose XP and levels, sometimes days worth of progress.
Yeah.
Okay, so a while back, one player got up to level 999, and they walked through the door, and then they logged out, and they never came back to the game ever again. So recently, another player, because nobody's actually found out what the fuck is in this door.
Yeah.
Another player has gotten to that level, and he's like, hey, everybody, I'm going to live stream this. I'm going to walk in the door so everybody can see what's going on. Check it out. I'm going there at X time and X thing. Apparently, when people tuned into the stream, what they found was him standing outside the door and a donation counter at the bottom with a goal of $5,000 where he would walk through the door.
What a fucking asshole.
And apparently, he's up to about 3, but it's like he's just not going through until he meets that goal.
Wow.
I personally think this is one of those...
Fuck that guy.
Well, sort of fuck that guy. On the other hand, fuck that company. Like, this game's been around for 12 years. One other person managed to do this. It is a thing that people want to know what it is. So I can kind of understand why he's doing it, but yeah, also kind of fuck that guy. I think that like he should have put up a page and been like, hey, I spent... Well, apparently the first person to do this spent several years of their life, like playing every day to get to this level, to go in that door to see what's going on. So it is an investment. On the other hand, yeah, I just can't help but laugh a little bit about like, yeah. Oh my God, what if you walk in there and it's just the video for Never Gonna Give You Up? What if that's...
That's why the guy just quit playing the game.
Yep. He went in there and he was just like, fuck. What if you go in there and it's just a statue of Peter Molyneux? So yeah, I don't know. I thought that was kind of funny.
He goes in there and it just says, it's just a sign that says, don't tell anyone that there's nothing in here.
Right. Yeah. And last but certainly not least, you remember the game Strife? Smite?
Yeah, Smite.
With the gods and everything?
Yeah, Smite.
Guess who's getting put in Smite?
Thor?
Nope. Bob Ross.
Oh, that's right. I heard about this. Bob Ross.
Yep, they're putting a skin of Bob Ross on one of the characters in Smite. Apparently, the character that they're putting him on is Sylvanas, who's like a druid. So, you know, he's got a bunch of happy trees and such. So, yep. That's
Smite is
cool.
popular on Twitch. So is Bob Ross.
There you go. Yeah, perfect. I like it when companies do stupid shit like this.
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
Well, Smite has actually had like a lot of really fun skins for their characters.
Yeah. So it looks like Sylvanas, I'm looking at one of the trailers here, rides around on a tree, maybe?
Yeah.
So is that what it's going to be is from this little thing, is that it's Bob Ross riding on top of a happy little tree?
Yeah.
Yay. That's pretty cool. And that is the news.
Oh, hey.
So we're done with that. Stick around for just a second. We'll be right back. We're going to answer some questions, so stay tuned.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
We are back.
Yes, we are.
Yes, it is time for questions, John. But before we do questions, I feel like I have not entirely finished it yet, but I played enough of Prey to at least talk a little bit about it. So
okay. I played a tiny bit of Prey.
Yeah, let's do one of our little impromptus here. So Prey came out last week, and it's a little confusing to me. I said this on the show, but like, you know, the first Prey and this Prey, nothing to do with each other.
Yeah, no, it's just they use the name.
Prey 2, nothing to do with either of the other two Preys. It's like literally like I feel like 3 different games entirely.
Yeah.
Like which is kind of cool.
Well, from what I understood, Prey 2 was supposed to take place in the same like universe,
yeah,
but it was a different character, and you would see maybe some similar aliens, or
but it was like all the way on the other side of the universe.
Yeah, it was
like
just something completely different.
Anyway, this Prey, basically, here let me explain it. This is fucking System Shock.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't, I mean, a lot of people have been comparing it to like BioShock or like Deus Ex, but this is some System Shock bullshit. Like, you wake up, or I'm not going to spoil the beginning because it's got a little bit of twisty-turny stuff, but basically, the game starts out and it's got I think it has a really strong opening. I think the first hour of it is very strong because it's got a very kind of like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Like storyline to it. I'm not going to talk too much about the storyline because one, I haven't finished it. And I think that there's some pretty big reveals at the end. Like, it'd be like, you know, I wouldn't want to do a full review of BioShock Infinite without having seen that ending, right? Because that's changes the way you feel about the game.
I agree with that.
What I can say, though, as far as the storyline goes, is I'm right at the very end of the game. I haven't gotten around to actually putting the final nail in the coffin and beating it. But what I can say is that it does drag a little bit in the middle. It starts out pretty strong with a pretty strong what the hell's going on here component. But the middle of the game is a lot of kind of like questing, like, oh, so-and-so shut off access to this section, so you got to go around through this section to get to there and unlock it and blah, 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 blah. And yeah, it drags. And also, it's a lot longer than I thought. Like, it's 20 hours, and it probably would have been a little bit, or I'm at 25 hours, and I still have a few subquests that I haven't finished up yet. I feel like it probably would have been stronger as an 8 to 10 hour game with a little bit more replayability.
Having said that, if I'm not mistaken, some dude did a speed run of the game and beat it in like 30 minutes, and then did it
20
again.
minutes, and then he did it in 10 minutes.
Yeah, and then he did it again in half that.
Well, I'm wondering because there is a quote ending that you can get to the game that is like a bad ending. Like, it's an alternative ending that technically is an ending, but there are no credits. You just kind of get a bad message, and I haven't watched that yet, but I'm wondering whether he did that, because I don't really see how you could get to the actual end of the game in that amount of time. I don't know. Maybe you can't. Maybe if you just pump a bunch of points into one thing, unlock a door, and then like boom, you're good to go. But the moment-to-moment gameplay is a lot like Deus Ex, or maybe even BioShock, original BioShock, not Infinite, in that you have a lot of different ways to do things in the game. You can do stealth, you can do hacking, you can do kind of traversal. There's a lot of different ways that you can beat enemies. The enemies in the game, there's not a lot of them, and that is one of the things that kind of is a little bit irritating to me, is that there's about there's like about 4 or 5 different types of enemies, and then there's a few subtypes on those types, right? Yeah. It does end up getting kind of repetitive with you fighting the same enemies over and over again, and certain enemies have certain weaknesses, and if you don't kind of lean into those weaknesses, they can be a lot more difficult to beat. But the one thing I do really like about the game is that I've always felt like I was right on the edge of running out of bullets or grenades or equipment, but I never actually got there. Like, I would always, kind of find a new area with a new cache of stuff that I could use, because I really like the system that they've got where you can basically take items and you can put them into this recycling machine and get the individual little blocks that are individual elements, and then you can use those elements in another machine to make new stuff. Now, on a console, all of the and you can actually speak a little bit to this too, but all of the like interfaces with the machines seem like they were really calibrated for a mouse and a keyboard, and they're a little bit awkward with just because it's one of those things where instead of just giving you like a cursor that you move around on the screen, you're literally like moving a little
your view
mouse. Yeah. Well, the thing is, I don't know if you've got to this point yet, but any screen you can actually click in the R3 button and it'll focus on the screen.
Oh no, I didn't know that.
You use the L button and it move around a little virtual.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
No, I didn't know that.
But it's still a little bit clumsy and a little bit awkward. And also, I could say on the PS4, this is regular PS4 was where I was playing it. It has some pretty bad like texture pop-in issues and some really long load times. Like, the going from one area to another does take quite a while, and I think that's because it's actually saving, like, if you dropped a gun in one section of the game, you load it back up and your gun is still there. So it's kind of keeping track of everything.
Yeah.
So there's like the quick load and the quick saves happen immediately. Quick load is pretty short, but there's actually like a 2-phase loading screen to when you transition between areas that takes quite a while. I mean, what would you say, like a full minute or two?
Yeah, something like that.
The combat is all first person. You've got a variety of different kind of powers, and you've also got guns, and you've got lasers, and you've got grenades, and you've got some stuff in the environment like turrets that you can hack and you can set up and you can move around. So there is a pretty solid, and there's also a very large upgrade tree that you will by no means be able to fill out in one playthrough. So you can kind of decide how you want to focus. Like, do you want to focus on specifically like shooting stuff with a gun? Do you want to focus on specifically hitting stuff like with you have a wrench, of course?
Yeah, it's the first thing you get.
Yeah. Or do you want to use some more esoteric stuff to try to get after these? There's also a variety of suit upgrades, and there's some different pieces to that later on that you get. So you can really customize the way that you want to play. And I really like that in a game like this, because it means that you can kind of toy around and figure out what works best for you.
Yeah.
I think that when it's all loaded up, that the game is really pretty.
Yeah, I agree with that.
The conceit of the station, as we've said before, is that there's a space station, and that it's like it was a joint development by the Russians and the Americans in the 70s, and then it was abandoned, and then this corporation bought it, and that they're looking into this kind of alien research. The different areas are interesting, and they're put together in a way. They do have a thing that you get early on. You probably got it, John, called the glue cannon.
Yeah, it's the first like non-wrench weapon.
Yeah, and you can use that to not only like put out fires or
freeze enemies in their track.
Yeah, like cover enemies with goop and then hit them. But you can also use it to like make platforms and get to different places. And so the game is constructed in a way where I feel like you get a lot of ability to do a lot of different things. Like I said, the outside of the lull in the quest in the middle of the game, and a lot. I mean, this is one of those games where like there are a ton of emails and logs and shit for you to read, and you should probably read them because that's where a lot of the story is. So if you're not into, that sort of thing, but yeah, I'm about 25 hours into the game. I've got about 4 sub-quests left to finish, and then the end game. One thing that I looked online is I don't think there's a New Game Plus. And from near what I can tell, there's not a New Game Plus. And that's a bit of a bummer because this is being a single-player game, this is the sort of game that I would like to go back and just, keep maxing out all of the upgrade trees until I just go in and fucking, knock the game's head off. Because I like to do that with games that I like to play. Like, I'd like to play it a second time and try out some different stuff. So it's a little bit of who knows, they may eventually patch that into the game.
Could be.
Also on the Xbox One, be aware that there is a bug that will corrupt your save game.
Oh, I'm on Xbox One, so
be careful. Maybe read up on how that happens. I think I'm pretty sure that they're working on a fix. Like, no company's going to just leave their game. You play for 20 hours and then you can't load it up again. But other than that, I'm really enjoying it. Like, I like it because it's a fundamentally unique new game. I really like the kind of paranoid, stuck in a closed environment with a bunch of crazy stuff that could jump you. The enemies never become trivial, and I like that because it always kind of feels like you're fighting for your life. Like, whenever you see, there are plenty of times where I've seen a new enemy in an area, or I've seen just one of the bigger enemies in an area and been like, oh fuck, god, where I've like, should I try to sneak around this thing? Should I try to run past it? Should I try to do something crazy? But I'm really enjoying it is kind of my end result here. And unless they really biff the landing hardcore, if they would just go in and add a New Game Plus option, I'm liking everything that I've got here. Because, I feel like there hasn't really been, how, like, everybody copies Souls, right?
Yeah.
But, like, has there been that many, like, BioShock-style games outside of, say, like, Dishonored that actually... Since BioShock,
not really.
Would you say? I mean, like, I don't know. I'm actually legitimately asking.
No, I don't think really there have been. I can say that it's weird because I'm not a huge fan of the original BioShock or BioShock 2.
Yeah.
But I actually love BioShock Infinite. I don't know what it is about that game that sets it apart from the other two, but I love BioShock Infinite.
Yeah, big open world, different tenor, different kind of story.
But yeah, I'm like maybe 45 minutes to an hour in the game, which I'm sure there's someone out there going, poof, you barely played it.
You speed running it, so you beat it twice already.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. But yeah, so I mean, it's kind of one of those things where I'm not sure how I feel about it yet.
Okay.
Because I feel like the game is telling me, like through the logs and the characters, is telling me, hey, this is the type of game you're about to play.
Mm-hmm.
And then the game that I'm actually playing is not that game.
Yeah.
And again, I'm trying to be a little vague for not spoilers and things like that.
Yeah.
And I feel like, because we were talking about, like, there's a specific enemy type that are like, oh my god, this whole thing, and it's supposed to cause this whole, this whole paranoia thing. And the AI of that enemy type, the way it's programmed, completely ruins that element that they're trying to me. It kind of ruins that. Now, again, when I played it for the 45 minutes to an hour that I played it, I may have not have been in the right headspace. And I even kind of knew that going into it, that I may not have been in the right headspace for it. But so I'm not sure. Like, I want to sit down and play it a little bit more because I want to like the game. Everything I hear about, everything you've told me about the game, everything Amanda told me from when you and her did the playthrough.
Yeah.
You know, and the
you
trailers.
You gotta get over that one thing, man. Like, that one thing ain't gonna change and ain't gonna get you better.
I know, but it's just like I'm hearing these things.
Yep.
And I'm gonna be honest. What Amanda tells me about the games, I feel like I'm playing a completely different game. Yeah. Like, I actually had to stop and be like, are you sure am I Prey? Like, we're playing the same game that you were telling me about? Because I'm not seeing any of that. Yeah. Of what you were telling me was so awesome about the game. And that's
you gotta keep you're too close to the beginning of the game. You have to move a little bit further forward.
Yeah, and so I'm a little disillusioned because, like, hearing what everyone's telling me the game is, and then also hearing what the game is. Like, I feel like I'm being told from fans, people who are playing the game, oh, it's this kind of game. And then the game is telling me it's a completely different type of game. But then when I play the game, it's an even third different type of game. Like, it's like I'm not getting the same, like, something's not clicking somewhere for me.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily think I hate it, but I'm not sure I necessarily like it either. And so I'm kind of like in this weird thing where I'm just like, I don't know. Yeah. Like, I need to play it more. I admit that. I totally am going to give it a fair shake. I plan to on my days off this weekend. I plan to actually sit down and actually just, play the game.
Yeah.
But it's just, like I said, I'm only like 45 minutes to an hour into it. And, I'm probably, some people may like, oh, I know exactly where you are. And actually, you probably don't, because I'm actually probably earlier in the game than that, even where you're thinking. Because because what a lot of the websites like, oh, look around the environments and click on everything and, don't rush ahead. And so that's what I've been doing. And maybe that's also part of the problem. But I don't know.
I think you should rush forward and stop listening to what the game says it should be, because it'll be clear what the game is. I don't know. You and I have had this conversation. Yeah, we've been talking about this for like 40 minutes before we even started the podcast.
I bring this up not because you and I have already had that discussion. I more bring it up, to kind of offer a different opinion.
Sure.
But at the same time, a week from now, I could be singing a whole different tune.
Yeah,
like I may go back, play it, something finally clicks, and it's a great fun game that I'm gonna love playing, kind of thing. I don't know, but
yeah. Near as I could tell, Dishonored, Singularity, Wolfenstein: The New Order, Deus Ex. That's about the legacy of BioShock that we kind of have.
I mean, I kind of almost wanted to say Alien Isolation, but I don't think it doesn't really. It's more of a
Alien Isolation in some ways, but it doesn't have really any real combat component to it. But anyway, I don't know. I think that if that's what you're into, it's worth a look, because it worked well for me.
Yeah.
Anyway, on to the questions. MailRageLight.com is the email address, and our first one this week comes in from Danny, the Bespectacled Gamer, who says, "Happy podcast day to you, Jeff and probably John." Danny, the Bespectacled Gamer here. I just finished rewatching the Justice League and Justice League Unlimited animated series since it's been so long. They're both on Netflix as we speak. I can't get over how much these shows really ring true. The DC characters ring true to the DC characters while also examining the ideas of how the world deals with the idea of a Superman and essentially gods living among us, like recent movies, only good. This leads me to feel sad about the current state of the DC movies of late. I don't want to shit all over those because I truly want them to be great. So here's a question for you. Has there been an incarnation of Superman that really gets it just right for you outside of the comics? Or what do you look for in your Superman that other properties have gotten wrong? And do you think the DC movie universe can pull out of the tailspin at this point? If so, what would you do? Thanks again for the laughs. As always, you've been Bespectacled, Danny Bespectacled Gamer. P.S. My very first question of this podcast was asking about your thoughts on marriage a couple of years ago. Updates were all tying the knots in January. Okay.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah. So let's see. Outside of comics, Superman that does it right. I mean, let's take Superman the animated series, Justice League Unlimited off the table, because those are all good Supermans as well.
Supergirl, the current Supergirl
show.
Superman shows up in the second season.
Okay,
and though he's briefly on the screen or whatnot, I felt that it's really well portrayed. Like the actor playing both Clark and playing as and Superman. I felt he did really well. I thought it was really, really fun.
Okay.
I really liked the portrayal of Superman in that because he felt like Superman.
Okay. I haven't seen a lot of this stuff. Like I never watched what was the Smallville or like
I never watched
Lois and Clark.
Oh, I love Lois and Clark. It's great. The best. Lois and Clark is the best.
Is it about Superman or is it just a drama about Lois Lane and Clark Kent? Because that's the
It's about the love triangle. Well, for a long while, it's about the love triangle between Superman, Lois Lane, and Clark Kent.
Ah, okay.
And I think it tackles it really, really well.
Okay.
But there are Superman elements. But I don't know. It's a fun show. I actually really like. I was actually rewatching a few episodes a while back, and I really, really, really enjoy that show.
Fair enough.
Like Dean Cain did really good as Superman.
I think that so outside of those, and I mean, I like a lot of the animated ones. I mean, I thought that before they and I don't even consider this to really be the fault of like Warner Brothers. Well, it is kind of the fault of Warner Brothers, but for a different reason. After the animated started doing New 52, I didn't like their Superman anymore because I didn't like the New 52 Superman. I didn't like the just like fuck it, I'm so angry. But outside of anything animated, probably Superman 2. Superman 1 is I like Superman 1, but it's kind of weird and cheesy.
Oh, the Donner Superman movies?
Yeah.
I like Superman 1 and 2. I really like those two as well.
I like Superman 2 quite a bit. It's kind of weird in a lot of ways. Like there's that I always love the Family Guy joke where they cut to Superman 2 and he throws the cellophane S at the guy and he's like, what was that? Superman just like, yeah, slowed you down for a second, didn't I? And he's like, yeah, I didn't even know you could do that. Like, yeah, that's right. Cellophane S on my chest. It's just because like, what? It just kind of comes out of nowhere. But yeah, I think that Superman 2 was probably one of the best. I tell you what, if you want a kind of a morally complex Superman, the Superman in Young Justice I thought was really interesting because he's not, you've got Superboy in there, right? Yeah. And Superman doesn't want to have anything to do with Superboy because he's like, they cloned me. I didn't ask anybody to clone me. I didn't want fucking clone kids. Yeah. I'm not into you. He keeps trying to fob him off on Batman, and Batman's like, Clark, you really need to fucking talk to your weird clone son. He's very angry about everything. And Superman's like, I think there's a tidal wave. I've got to go, Bruce. Bye. Yeah, pretty much anything that's been hand-drawn. Any cartoon version of Superman is probably better. Even the weird ones with the crazy robots with like the spinny neck turbines or whatever they are, like the old ones. As far as, I mean, like, I don't know. Danny, I feel like every other podcast we're answering the question of what could the DC universe do to... So,
I want to bring something up because of that.
Okay.
So, there was an interview with the actress who plays Martha Kent.
Okay.
Which I thought was hilarious. Someone apparently in an interview she did for another movie asked her, can she spoil anything about the Justice League movie?
Yeah.
And is it going to blow the Marvel movies out of the water?
Yeah.
And her answer was no and no. Sorry to disappoint you. Like, literally, that was all she said. She goes, no and no. Sorry to disappoint you. Like, she's like, no, it's not going to be. Like, even she's like, it ain't going to be good. Sorry.
I mean, I tell you what. Let me try to take a different angle on this because for people who listen to the podcast every week, I know that you've heard us talk about this over and over again. But let's take a different direction, and that is one of the things that sticks in my car. And this isn't like a brand new way to think about all this because it's kind of just a view from above of stuff that I've already said. Is that to me it seems like they're writing some of the DC universe incorrectly. That you have a character with a legacy. Okay, let me see if I can explain this. Like Batman, okay? Let's just take Batman as an example, not because he's in the DC universe, but just because he's a really simple example for this. So let's say that you were going to write a Batman movie, right? And you've got the character of Batman. Batman himself has a lot of baggage on him. And you decided to write it as a lighthearted romp about a character who just can't seem to get his shit together. Whole Mondays, some days you just can't get rid of a bomb. Nobody would like that.
Unless it was Adam West.
Right, unless it was Adam West. But nobody would like that because the thing, and this is maybe what I've been trying to say for the last 2 years, the thing is we have an idea of what Batman is. So you say, we're rebooting Batman and we're going to take him an entirely different direction. He's going to be a silly pants and he's going to help kids and it's going to be a family-friendly movie all about this stuff. And you go, no, that's not, he's the Dark Knight. Why would you write him like that? He's not a goofy silly bear. He's the Batman. He's terrifying criminals. Why are you writing him wrong? Okay, great. I'm glad that we're all on the same page. Now, that's what's happening with Superman.
I actually feel like Batman is actually a bad example for what you just said because Brave and the Bold Batman, the cartoon Brave and the Bold, fucking genius and amazing. Okay. And that's a happy-go-lucky Batman. Okay. That is a Batman who will smile at you.
Okay.
You know.
Okay, yes. And if in the movies Batman was wearing a blue
no, I'm just saying. Batman, I feel like every version of it's weird. Like I have a very Batman and Superman are two different things. Superman can only be one way for me. Like he can have elements of darkness. He can have elements of this, but Superman has to be hopeful and bright and colorful and
I'm sorry.
But Batman is weird in that he can be comical. Like I actually think that as strange as it is, Batman in comedy situations is hilarious beyond literally.
Well, he's the ultimate straight man.
Yeah, he is.
Right? Well, I guess what I'm just trying to say is that there is a psychic baggage that we have with certain characters, right? Luke Skywalker, Spider-Man, or fucking Optimus Prime. And when you decide to cut against that expectation, I feel like one of the reasons the Marvel movies do so well is because they cut with the expectation of those characters very well. Like Iron Man as a fast-talking, kind of smarmy businessman who's charming. He's also kind of a dickhead and blah, blah, blah. And the way that he relates to kind of funky, old-school Steve Rogers, Captain America, doing the right thing, truth and justice. Like, those elements all fit right into what we think about those characters when you just imagine what it is. When I imagine Superman, I am not imagining a fucking dark and gritty motherfucker because it's just I've even read comics where he's a dark and gritty motherfucker, right?
Yeah.
It just doesn't work as well, and so I feel like when they write these ultra, I don't know. I guess I think I kind of made my point a little bit. I'm all over the place today, but that's what I feel like the problem is that they're trying to shoehorn aspects into characters that are well established in our minds as a different type of character. I don't know.
Do I think that the DC movie universe can be saved? Yes, I do. I do think they could turn it around. I do think they can make a very good franchise and not have to reboot the entire thing. Anything can be saved. They need to get rid of Zack Snyder. Like that's literally the and I know we say it every time. The actors they have chosen to play all of the characters, I like them.
All right, bro.
I think they're great.
Sure.
Ben Affleck as Batman, great.
Sure.
Henry Cavill as Superman, fucking awesome.
Sure.
Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, cool.
Sure.
All the actors they've got, even Suicide Squad, all the actors they cast, great. I love them all. They're good in the parts they're playing.
I mean, I'm going to say there were parts of all those movies that I didn't enjoy, like snippets, not the whole thing, but there were parts of those movies where I was like, oh man, that could be good.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
Just they need a different creative vision running the whole thing, and Zack Snyder just ain't fucking it because the dude is a hack.
Or at the very least, get somebody else to write Justice League and let Zack Snyder write Suicide Squad, where it's just...
We didn't have anything to do with Suicide Squad.
I know, but that's where I would imagine Zack Snyder is writing something like Suicide Squad, something that is like a dark and gritty and we're shooting a bunch of stuff, right? And he's going to do all his slow-mo bullshit or whatever. But when it comes to the relationship between gods and man and reality and the vigilantes and justice and law and order versus blah, 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 maybe somebody with a little bit more, going on in the upstairs, write a sophisticated story about those things. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've lost faith. I'll go watch Wonder Woman eventually, but I
have hope for Wonder Woman. I do. I have hope.
The longer the time goes on, the more I'm just kind of like, you know what? Fuck it.
Here's the thing. I'm hoping Wonder Woman's good. I'm hoping Justice League is good.
Yeah.
I'm hoping Aquaman movie is good. I'm hopeful. because I like those characters. Like I've since DC Rebirth in the comics, I've gotten back into DC again.
Yeah.
Like I just spent a ton of money buying trades for DC Rebirth to catch up on stuff over the weekend during a free comic book day. Like it's like I am all for. I want DC movies to be good.
I agree. All right. Well, here's a question about a different type of movie adaptation.
Okay.
Carson writes in and says, "Praise Don Cleese and the Patron States of Rage Select. Question coming at you from Carson. What was the most disappointing video game to movie adaptation that you ever witnessed? Or vice versa? And if you had a chance to go back and fix it, what would you do to fix the adaptation? Thanks for reading my question, and may your Taco Bell orders always come with double meat for no extra charge. Carson." Did you get double meat today for no extra charge?
No.
Carson, work harder. Sorry, Carson.
Because I had those naked chicken chips.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So
they're not going to let you get away with any of that.
Yeah.
Worst. Okay, I feel like it's easier to do worst video game to movie adaptation because movie to video game, there have been a lot of really terrible movie to video game adaptations.
Yeah, I know. I've got a lot of them. I own a lot of them.
Yeah. What's the worst one that just comes to mind when I say worst movie to video game adaptation?
Movie to video game adaptation.
All I can think of now is the good ones. Why the fuck can't I think of any of the bad ones?
It's probably... Yeah, I don't know. E.T.?
E.T.? Oh, that's good. Yeah. All right, well, let's do the opposite way. Let's do...
the Crow game, the Crow 2 Stairway to Heaven, I think it was.
Okay.
Fuck, that game was terrible.
There's a Plan 9 from Outer Space game.
Sure. Yeah, maybe.
Weird. Okay. I'm looking at like just top 10 lists on whatever. Anyway. Connect Star Wars. Worst movie to video game adaptation I've ever seen.
Because the dancing Han Solo?
No, well, that, but it was also kind of broken. Like the lightsaber shit didn't work, and like the speeder bike stuff was kind of boring, and yeah, it just... Anyway. Okay, so worst movie adaptation of a video game. I mean, probably there's so many Uwe Boll movies to choose from.
Yeah, I mean, I really hate House of the Dead because there is no fucking house. It takes place on an island.
Sure. I haven't seen that one. I know that
there's no house. It's a party on a fucking island.
Yeah.
There's no house on the island.
Yeah.
And it's called House of the Dead.
Okay.
How do you fucking make a movie called House of the Dead and there's no goddamn house?
There's a keyhole on the box cover. Surely there's a house somewhere in there.
No fucking house.
List of films based on video games. Okay, let's see. Okay, we can probably skip past Super Mario Brothers, Double Dragon, and Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat because those are all terrible movies.
Fuck you. Mortal Kombat is awesome.
That I hold to high steam in my heart because...
I will say, Double Dragon, I admit that one is flat out terrible, but I love it for just personal reasons. But Mortal Kombat I actually think is an actual really good adaptation. Mortal Kombat 2 Annihilation, fucking garbage.
Let's see, Wing Commander... I never saw it.
It's bad, but it's not the worst.
I don't think that okay, yeah, if we're looking for the bottom, I don't think that the Lara Croft Tomb Raider movies with Angelina Jolie are the most wretched things I've ever seen.
Yeah, and that's the thing. A lot of your more well-known video game based movies are not as bad.
Yeah.
Like Doom is not that terrible. I mean, it's bad.
It's bad,
but it's not atrocious.
I never watched Blood Rain. Silent Hill was actually not that bad of a movie
Silent Hill
altogether.
Again, the sequel was kind of garbage, but the first one was actually pretty good.
And also the first Hitman movie was not the worst movie I've ever seen.
I actually never watched any of the Hitman movies.
I fell asleep during the second one, but the first one was actually not the worst.
The Dead or Alive movie, I actually was like, holy shit, this game is super faithful.
Max Payne with Marky Mark.
Max Payne was terrible.
Weird. It was so strange.
Yeah, that was bad.
How do you fuck that one up?
You know what? That one was probably my biggest because of my affinity for Max Payne. That was probably my biggest disappointment.
Street Fighter: Legend of Chun-Li was.
Oh, I went in knowing that was fucking terrible.
I never watched Prince of Persia: Sands of Time.
I actually liked that. I thought it was a fun movie.
Okay, I never watched Silent Hill Revelation. I never watched Need for Speed. I never watched Hitman Agent 47. I actually started watching Ratchet & Clank and then stopped watching it, even though I don't know. Then we got the newer ones: Angry Birds, Warcraft, Assassin's Creed, Resident Evil, and that's current.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of those. And the Resident Evil franchise, I've only watched the first two movies, which the first movie was okay, and then just it went to shit after that. But
you know what? I'm gonna say that the worst video game movie I've ever seen is probably Dungeon Siege and the Name of the King. But across, what is it, 7 movies? Even though I think that first Resident Evil movie ain't bad.
Yeah, it's okay.
Boy, do they get stupid as time goes on.
Oh yeah,
Real stupid. So
the Resident Evil movies, the Mila Jovovich Resident Evil movies, are one of 2 movie franchises.
Yeah.
That I always every time they released a new one.
Yeah.
I went, I know they're bad, but I kind of want to watch all of them.
Yeah.
And just do a whole marathon of them. And then my brain goes, no, you don't. Just don't. No.
Why would you do that?
And then I don't. The other movie franchise is not a video game related one. It's Transformers. It's the Michael Bay Transformers movies. Like my brain is like, no, just don't.
Man, we need to start watching some fucking Japanese video game movies. They made an Onechambara movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna go. You can kind of just roll the dice on the Uwe Boll ones because they're all
fucking
really
terrible. Alone in the Dark, where what was it? Tara Reid is a super smart scientist.
Yep. And Blood Rain.
Yeah. I actually heard the first Blood Rain movie wasn't good, but it wasn't like it wasn't as.
Is Pixels count as a video game movie?
It might.
Well, that's he's talking about.
It's a stretch
based on video games. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. So with that, okay, let's pick one. You've got Max Payne. I've got Dungeon Siege and the Name of the King.
I say Max Payne was the most disappointing movie for me.
Well, let's stick with that. What would you do to fix Max Payne? I think it's really easy.
Make it more like the game.
Take out all the stupid gods and craziness part.
Well, that was all drugs.
Well, I know, but there was no reason to have. You just make the fucking Departed. Just make Marky Mark make that face. Make him make that Max Payne face and wear a Hawaiian shirt.
Also, make him an undercover cop. Don't fucking make him. Like, it's weird. They tried to make him. They basically, instead of him being an undercover cop, they gave him the role he had in the sequel.
Okay,
but with the storyline of the first game.
Okay. Oh, so it was the fall of Max Payne, but
yeah, he was his assistant was the cop that was hunting him in the first game, or his partner, and I was just like, God, dude, fucking no, just do the story of the first game. It's cinematic. It works. You can cut a lot of the middle stuff out. Like, you can cut the bullshit video gamey stuff out, but just take the basic story and turn it into a fucking game.
Yeah.
Or a movie. It's all you have to do, people.
Yeah.
It's not that hard.
I honestly don't know how you fix Dungeon Siege, because the Dungeon Siege games, man, can you even remember what the Dungeon Siege games were about?
No.
Okay. Neither can I. Maybe I'll go with Doom instead. So you want to fix Doom? I'll tell you how to fix Doom. First off, no first-person shooter, or if you really wanted to do that, do a hardcore Henry and make the entire movie in first person with fucking balls-to-the-wall action. Also, let's see a lot more of hell and a lot more demons and a lot more stuff and a lot less like, oh, the Rock is turning evil and I've fused with my wheelchair. And just fucking do the UAC thing.
Actually make it be about hell, because they changed that.
I think that
it had nothing to do with hell.
Oh yeah, it was like an Event Horizon type of thing.
Yeah, it was like another dimension or whatever that was demons and aliens, or not demons, but it was aliens instead of demons. And
I say, you know what? I bet you could make the current Doom game into a good movie, because the way that the main protagonist, whose eyes that we're looking out of, just gives no fucks. Like, if it was in first person like Hardcore Henry, but you basically had the Space Marine that like the legions of hell are actually afraid of, and that he's just fucking everything up left and right and center. That could be a really fun movie. Or you just, I don't know, make Uncharted and do it like Raiders of the Lost Ark or The Mummy. All right, let's see here. Let's get a couple more questions in here. Nico writes in. Hey, Nico writes in and says, hello, Jeff, and wonderful as always, John. Nico from Germany here. I've been one of those silent but loyal listeners and watchers since the Spill Times, but never dared to ask a question. But not anymore. So here is my first simple question. What is your ideal setup for starting a new game you are looking forward to? Meaning when you finally get to play the game, how do you get prepared? Do you dim the lights? Do you put headphones on, get some snacks, put your cell phone to silent? Or do you just start like any other game? For me, I definitely get something to eat and drink so that I don't have to get up in the middle of the game. Plus, I make sure I've done all my chores and the to-dos for the day so I can relax and focus on the game for the rest of the day. Thank you very much for doing all the things you're doing. You make our lives a bit more fun. Greetings, Nico. Do you have anything specific that you do? I sit in the middle of a bunch of video game systems, so I just turn one of them on and go boop, 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 go.
Yeah, I mean, for a game, like if it's a game that I'm really like super looking forward to, I will typically play it when Amanda's home. And that's not an insult like, oh, Amanda's home, got to play my video games or anything like that, because I know it sounds bad.
Right.
But the reason I do that is so that she can run interference on the dog. Because the dog gets very upset when I'm not paying attention to her or Amanda's not paying attention.
Your dog runs your house.
Yeah, well, she's a cute dog. You know, so I sit in my living room, TV. I don't get food because I don't like food and gaming at the same time. Like if I'm gonna eat, I'm watching a TV show. Like I've got a TV show or a YouTube video on or something while I'm eating. I can't game and eat at the same time.
Yep, me too.
But I mean, for video, like I said, sometimes I'll wait till the weekend, or if it's like a midnight, like a game where if Amanda's home, like I'll play it immediately right then. But like I'll wait till the weekend until she's there, and I'll play it and just sit there and play it.
Yeah.
And then if I need to go get food, I'll pause it or whatever, go get food, come back, and then But yeah, I mean, it's the big thing is I usually try to make sure that Amanda's there to kind of run interference on the dog, and I say run interference, and that's me being a little bit hyperbolic. Yeah. It's more of so that someone is paying attention to the dog, so that if the dog, like, she's not actually like sitting there like giving 100% attention to the dog.
Yeah.
She's usually like doing something herself, like she's watching something on her iPad. Sometimes she's watching me play. Sometimes she's reading a book. She's doing something else. And then if the dog needs something, like to go outside on a walk or whatever, she's there to go, okay, I'll go take you on a walk, kind of thing. Like it's not. Like I said, when I say run interference on the dog, I don't mean like, oh man, that dog just needs 100% attention all the time. And, sometimes I make hyperbolic jokes, and I sometimes think that you take them very literally.
I don't know, man. You talk about your dog all the time. It sounds
because she's a fucking cute dog. I love that dog.
Runs that house of yours. Well, I don't know. It's just okay. So you will say things to me like, I sometimes, or like when Amanda's not home, I can't really play my PlayStation VR because if I put it on, my dog gets really upset.
She does.
And I'm like, why? To me, the idea that you would stop playing with a piece of hardware as cool as a PlayStation VR because your dog was irritated is just strange. But
it's because she makes whining noises, and I'm worried that something wrong has happened, like that she hurt herself or something, or it's just I don't. Because I mean, if it's something where like I'm playing a console game, that's one thing. But it's like VR headset. I've got headphones on. I've got a VR thing. I can't see what's going on. I don't know what she's doing.
Sure.
She starts yelping or whatever or whining. I don't know why she's whining.
Okay. I don't know.
I can't see what she's doing.
I just have a very different dog experience in my house. My dog is so sedated. All right, so let's see. This next one comes in from Cow, I believe, and says, "What's up, Ragecaster? It's me, Cow. Thou? Here's my question. What director would you like to see take on a video game franchise?" Wow, a lot of director movie questions this week. Or vice versa. For example, I would love to see Kojima direct a Bourne movie, or Scott Ripley take on the Mass Effect video games. Hopefully you can get the question. And Jeff, you can keep putting your 2 cents on the games you play. I enjoy those mini reviews. Thanks for everything. Have a good day. From Cow. So, directors that you would like to see direct a video game, or video game directors you'd like to see direct a movie?
So wait, movie directors directing a video game or directing a video game based movie?
No, just movie directors directing a video game or video game directors directing a movie.
Sad thing is, there is a director that I would love to direct a video game.
Mm-hmm.
It'll never happen.
Yeah.
Because it has failed to happen so many times that he will never do it again.
Okay.
Which is Guillermo del Toro.
I
want him to direct a video game because I think his aesthetic would work really well. Having said that, I would also like to see Guillermo del Toro maybe direct a video game based movie.
Yeah.
That might be cool as well. I don't know. But maybe even Edgar Wright wouldn't mind seeing.
Yeah, he seems to get it. He seems to understand it. Yeah, get that Baby Driver money and then come and make a video game.
As far as video game director directing a movie.
Yeah. My mind can't get off of Kojima because he's the only one that I know who he's such a movie nerd anyway.
Yeah.
No, that's not true.
Swery.
Swery or Suda51. I want to see either one of those guys direct a movie because in all honesty, I would much rather watch the shit that Suda51 comes up with than play his games any day of the week because
And I've already seen what's his name that made the original Dead Rising games and Mega Man. I've already seen him direct a movie. It was kind of not great.
Okay.
Because he directed a Dead Rising movie for Dead Rising 2.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
And it was all right, but it wasn't great.
I think that it's an easy answer, but I think that the Housers could totally make a movie. They're the one that did all the scripts for Max Payne, GTA, all those Rockstar games, all the crime Rockstar games. They could totally do movies.
They did Max Payne 3?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay,
they wrote Max Payne 3.
Yeah, because Max Payne 1 and 2 was Sam Lake.
Yeah.
That's another one. Sam Lake,
yeah,
I would totally love to see him take on an actual movie or, TV show or something.
George Lucas. I want to see the George Lucas video game.
We probably already got that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. You start to run into a problem where I don't have a film directors don't mean as much to me, and video game directors that I know are there's a very small number of them. So
yeah. Well, that's also the thing is that, in film, directors can become popular, like Scorsese and Spielberg and George Lucas. Video games, it wasn't until, I would probably say, the last maybe 10, 20 years that directors on video games... Because previously, no one
knew.
Even in Japan, Japan games, they used pseudonyms, for a lot. You weren't allowed to use your real name in a lot of those games because they didn't want you to go to another company and make a game at that other company and pull the fan base away. That's why Suda51 has the name Suda51.
Oh, is that why in the end credits for SNES games you'd have all these weird names that would come through Raccoon G?
Because those were the rock stars of that company, and they didn't want them to then leave the company and go make their own studios and take the fan base with them or something. It was very much it was done to hide who they were.
Yeah.
So, in video games, it's kind of an unknown, the fact that we know who these people are now is something that's only relatively within the last, like I said, 10, 20, maybe 30 years started happening.
Yeah.
Which is why so few of them are known.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like people would expect me to say Miyazaki, but I don't want Miyazaki directing movies. I want to make video games. Yeah. I don't know. That's a hard one.
Yeah.
So let's go. Got a couple more. These should be pretty quick. Vanish Knight says, "Hello, Jeff and John. How have indie games evolved? Have they got more interesting, stupider, revolutionary, or been mediocre? Have there been too many of them, too many bad ones, or not enough of them? Sincerely, Vanish Knight."
I mean,
all.
Yeah, it's
they've gotten more interesting. They've gotten stupider. They've gotten more revolutionary. They've been more mediocre. There are too many of them. There are too many bad ones, and there are not enough of them.
Yeah, it's it's because there's a ton of bad ones. There's a ton of good ones, and the good ones have changed and evolved. And there's some that are still good that haven't changed and evolved. And they're indie games. I mean, they're games made by there's games made by small companies. There's games made by single person endeavors. There's a whole slew of all of those.
I might
and some.
I might say that like I don't want to like be really emphatic about this point, but I do feel sometimes like there are too many of them. Like I'd rather see more of these teams or more of these like creators come together as teams to make better games than like, hey, one person made this, and you're just like, great, it's crap, and it's like, yeah, but it was made by one person. It's like, well, it's still fucking garbage, but mostly because there's so much coming through Steam, and as much as I've complained about the bloat on Steam and all the games that are coming through, every one of those does represent something that somebody made, even if it was some bullshit like the fucking the Romaine brothers, the guys that sued Jim Sterling, even if it's their asset flip garbage. The fact that you've got a problem these days with asset flip garbage is kind of weird and unto itself because, 10 years ago, I can't imagine anybody being like, oh man, let's just take this example in Unreal and then just like throw somebody else's assets all over it and put it on Steam for $20 and see if we can get any money off of it.
Yeah.
But it's a lot harder. And by that, I mean the same thing that every time this comes up, it's just harder to find the hidden gems. Like right now, people are getting all meshuggah with me about Little Nightmares and how I didn't really care for it, and I didn't. I think Inside did it better than Little Nightmares did because it just did different things. And there have been a bunch of different indie games that people really have latched onto that they've really liked that I've just kind of thought were like, no, this isn't good enough for my time. I guess that's the thing is that. It used to be that you could keep up with everything that came out in a week, and now you just can't. You have to decide, like, I'm going to play these 4 things, and I'm going to let everything else kind of fall by the wayside. I mean, hell, I do this shit for a living. I can't keep up with the number of things that come out. Like, I couldn't play all the games that came out in a week. Like, it would be impossible. I mean, I could play them for 10 minutes a piece. If they were all given to me for free, I could play them for 10 minutes a piece. But other than that, no, I can't. I literally just do not have enough time to be able to do that. So I don't know. I mean, but on the other hand, that does mean that we get a better chance. We get a higher chance for something kind of nifty and cool to come out, like the Sexy Brutale, which technically isn't really an indie game because it's Tequila Softworks, but or wait, what's that?
Or what is it? Scanner Sombra?
Scanner Sombra, yeah. Which is I don't know. Do you even consider that an indie game? Because that's an established company that's doing it, not just like a.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would consider the games by like Tiny Build also to be games, like they have the Hello Neighbor and the fucking what is it, Deck Splash games, which are in Mr. Swifty or whatever it's called. Shifty? Mr. Shifty?
I don't.
It's like a top down.
Yeah. We didn't actually get a chance to play it. Yeah. I don't know. There's all kinds of tiny little games out there, much more than there used to be, which is kind of an impressive thing to say when you consider the amount of like PS1 era like shovelware that was out there of just people throwing together some garbage and putting it on sale for $10.
Shit, even Wii.
Oh yeah,
shovelware.
True. And you know what? That's it. This last question was about daily commutes, and I don't think that you or I have much of a daily commute. Well, you walk to work, but this is like being on the bus and such. So anyway, we're going to wrap it up there. mail@ragelight.com is the email address. Send us in your emails. We need your emails. We want your emails. We would like to get your emails. And yes, next week, I'm going to try, John. I'm going to go to the spa. I'm going to watch Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm going to get my temples rubbed and a big palm frond. I'm going to have better Jeff attitude next week.
You know what you need?
What's that?
Naked chicken chips.
Bye.